In the third week of August 1944, an American soldier near the French town of Chambois described the road in front of him as something out of a nightmare. For miles, the road was choked with the wreckage of a retreating army. Burned trucks, dead horses still in their harnesses, abandoned tanks, and the bodies of thousands of German soldiers who had tried to flee and never made it out. The Allies had built a trap in Normandy that summer, a trap that many believe could end the war in the West right there. So why did they leave the back door open long enough for a large part of an entire army to walk through it? To understand the trap, you have to go back to the weeks after D-Day. For nearly 2 months after the landings in June, the fighting in Normandy had been a slow, bloody grind through the hedgerows, those thick earthen banks that turned every field into a small fortress. Then at the end of July, the Americans launched Operation Cobra. Waves of heavy bombers carpeted the German lines west of St. Lo, and through the shattered front, American armor poured out into open country. The German left flank simply came apart. Sherman tanks raced through French villages that had not seen a free road in 4 years, and suddenly the rigid front line of Normandy had become a war of movement. The German commanders understood what this meant. Their 7th Army was now in danger of being cut off and rolled up. The reasonable move, the one their generals quietly wanted, was to pull back east toward the Seine and save the army while they still could. But the decision was not theirs to make. Far away in East Prussia, Hitler looked at the same map and saw something else entirely. Instead of ordering a retreat, he ordered an attack. The operation was called Lüttich, and it sent German armored divisions driving west toward the town of Mortain, aiming to reach the coast at Avranches and slice the American breakout in two. On paper, it was bold. In reality, it was a catastrophe waiting to happen. By throwing his best tanks westward, Hitler was pushing them deeper into a long, narrow salient with Allied forces gathering on both sides. American troops on a hill above Mortain held out for days against the assault, while Allied fighter bombers hunted the German tanks in the open. The counterattack stalled, and the German army was now stretched out in a pocket of ground with the open end facing east, back toward home. The Allied commanders saw the opening immediately. If forces drove north from the south and south from the north, they could pinch off the entire German pocket and trap everything inside it. From the south, the American forces under General George Patton would swing up toward the town of Argentan. From the north, Canadian and Polish troops would push down toward the town of Falaise. Between those two towns lay a gap of roughly 15 to 20 miles. Close that gap, and tens of thousands of German soldiers with their tanks and guns would be sealed inside with no way out. Patton's men moved fast. By the middle of August, his lead units had reached the area around Argentan and were straining to keep going north to close the gap themselves. And then they were told to stop. The order to halt Patton at Argentan came from General Omar Bradley, and it remains one of the most argued over decisions of the entire war. Bradley had his reasons, and they were not unreasonable at the time. The line where the two Allied army groups would meet had been agreed upon in advance, and pushing American troops north past Argentan meant driving them straight into the path of the Canadians coming the other way. Two friendly armies converging head-on in the chaos of a collapsing front was a recipe for soldiers firing on their own side. Bradley also worried that Patton's forces were spread thin, and that the full weight of a desperate German army trying to escape might simply smash through a light American screen. He later said he would rather have a solid shoulder at Argentan than risk a broken neck reaching for Falaise. So the southern jaw of the trap stopped and waited while the gap stayed open. That left the closing of the trap to the forces in the north, and the north was where the going was hardest. The Canadian advance, under operations named Totalize and Tractable, had to fight its way south from the ruins around Caen against some of the most determined German defenders in Normandy. Every mile was contested. Among the troops driving for the gap was the Polish 1st Armored Division, men who had lost their country in 1939 and had been fighting to get back to it ever since. They reached a piece of high ground east of the pocket, Hill 262, which they nicknamed the Mace. From that hill, they could look down on the escape routes, and they held it. If this story is teaching you something about how close the war came to ending early, take a second to subscribe, because this channel covers the turning points of the Second World War with this kind of detail every week. Now back to the gap. For several days in the middle of August, the Falaise Gap stayed open, and the German army poured through it. But it was not a clean escape. The roads leading east through the gap became a killing ground. Allied fighter bombers, the rocket-armed Typhoons and the diving P-47s ranged up and down the columns almost without opposition, turning packed roads into walls of fire. German soldiers abandoned their vehicles and tried to slip out on foot, through orchards and across fields, anything to get beyond the reach of the planes overhead. The single road through the village of Chambois earned a name among the men who saw it. They called it the Corridor of Death. On the high ground, the Polish division paid a terrible price holding their position against Germans trying to break out and German units trying to break in to rescue them. Cut off and low on ammunition, they held anyway, and they kept the noose from loosening. Finally, around the 21st of August, Polish, Canadian, and American forces linked up near Chambois, and the gap closed. The pocket was sealed. What was left inside was almost beyond description. When General Eisenhower walked the battlefield days later, he wrote that it was one of the greatest killing grounds of the war, a place a man could walk for hundreds of yards, stepping only on dead and decaying flesh. Roughly 50,000 German soldiers were taken prisoner. Many thousands more lay dead in the fields and along the roads. Nearly all of the Army's heavy equipment, the tanks, the artillery, the trucks, was lost, destroyed, or abandoned in the rush to escape. And yet, before those jaws finally shut, a great many men had already gotten out. Estimates of how many escaped vary widely among historians, ranging from the tens of thousands up toward the figure that gives this story its weight, close to 100,000 who slipped east before the trap closed. Most of them came out with little more than the rifles on their backs, but they came out. This is where the long argument begins, and it has never fully ended. One view holds that the days the gap stayed open were a genuine missed chance to destroy German resistance in the West, that closing it just a little sooner might have saved months of fighting and many thousands of lives still to come. The other view points out that the men who escaped left their tanks and guns behind, that an army without its equipment is not the army it was. But experienced soldiers and officers are not so easily replaced. Many of the men who walked out of Falaise reformed behind the River Seine and then behind the German border, and they were there that winter when the war in the West, far from being over, ground on into 1945 and into the cold forests of the Ardennes. The trap at Falaise was still one of the great victories of the Normandy campaign. The German army in the West had been broken there, and Paris would be free within days, but it was a victory with a shadow over it. The quiet knowledge that for a few crucial days the door had stood open and that the war which might have ended in that French summer would instead claim many more lives before it was done. If you want to understand the chain of events that led here, the breakout that started it all is the next story to watch. The video covering Operation Cobra is on screen now.